and so I set an alarm so I could go outside in the yard and work a little bit until it was time for me to come on. And I started, out there doing my little yard work. And I've got one of those, I don't know what you call it. It's like a thing you put in the ground and you twist it and you turn it and it, you know, churns up the soil. You do it all with your hand. And so I started out there in this one little flower bed in my backyard because I decided I was going to put tomato plants out there. And I kept clicking the alarm. And oh, you were listening to Larry. Heard dead air and rushed to say that, okay, 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 yeah, great, look, good job, Larry, huh? So I didn't know. I was but yeah, I'm out there in working in the dirt, in the ground, and I knocked off at 10 minutes till, and who knew it would take me until after 1 o'clock, huh? 7:01 to get in here, get online, and come in and talk to you guys. So, hello everybody, happy Hump Day Wednesday to you. And I'm happy as always to be here. I am excited because I'm me, and I'm excited to be. So I guess I'll just talk to you guys like I normally do for the next hour about um, all the wonderful stuff that's going on in my world and how it informs every little morsel of my moment, from whether or not it's working in the garden to the class that I've got going on here to the challenges that I have as far as, my friendships and relationships and all that stuff. Because I think that when we change how we look at the world changes for us. And so if I look through eyes of spirit and always see everything I do as being about my spiritual growth, then everything is fodder for discussion. And so today is no different. I get to come in and talk to you guys about those things. So peace and blessings and greetings to you guys. So let me start off like I always do, with the introduction of A Course in Miracles. It's funny because I still, even though I do it every time I do class and every time I talk anywhere having to do with the Course, because it kind of sets my thinking where I need it to be. It's not so that you guys can know what it is, it's just because I need to say it. um, and so, okay, so I'm not going to tell you what I crazy did there. Um, Okay, but I did something really crazy, and thank goodness it didn't really bite me. So I do it for me. So this is A Course in Miracles. This is the introduction. It is right in the front of your book, right before chapter 1, text of the text, chapter 1, paragraph 1, all that stuff. Right before that, and nestled right behind the table of contents, and it says, "This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The aim of the course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught." Am I saying this over again? It feels like I'm going in circles. I say this so often, so I get confused. The aim of the course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no opposites. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Doesn't that just, I absolutely love that every time. And every time, sometimes I feel like I'm skirting through it. But the moment I hear myself saying, "Herein lies the peace of God," it's as if there is a sense of peace that comes over me. It just is just awesome to me. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So, what blocks you, I'd like to ask, from your natural inheritance? What blocks you from your awareness of love's presence? And I'll tell you, of course, I ask the question and then I answer the question. That's kind of sometimes, how it's done, because I know that you guys aren't going to all type in here at one time and say, what blocks my awareness to love's presence is my judgments that I have about myself. You're not going to type into the window and tell me about how you were raised as a child. You're probably not even going to tell me anything that remotely comes close to the real reasons why we're blocked from our awareness of love's presence. We're never upset for the reasons we think we are, just like um, we're never motivated or demotivated for the reasons that we think we are. We always think it's about something else. We philosophize about it. We make up stories about it. And it usually, it sounds good. And a lot of times we're doing that for the sound effects. Oh, let me think about this and let me give her something great to say. But then if you really like step back and just took an honest look at things, I just wonder how much closer we could get to the real root of it. I heard someone say that we have to ask a question at least 3 times and hear ourselves answer a question at least 3 times before we get close to the real meaning or the real truth. I heard Paul the other day say that he needed to do this prayer 3 different times. He wanted to say the prayer over 3 times, and each time was for a different audience, or each time was from a different, not even a different perspective, but to try to touch on something or get up under an idea. So when we ask the question, what's blocking your awareness of love's presence? If I ask you that and you say initially one thing, oh, I was brought up Catholic, my belief that you are different than me, I am right and you are wrong. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Yeah, because you probably still think I'm that baby doll, Sandrosa. I don't know what her name, Sandrina. So, we have all these ideas about what could be the truth about it. But the other day, in class, when I was in class, Lynn, I've got a couple of teenagers that come on a regular basis, which, their parents bring them, and I'm always happy to have them there, because I think it is not only a wonderful opportunity for me, but it's also a wonderful experience for them, I'm sure. And it helps them to see the world. And even if, they're not getting it to the extent that you think that, they would or they should, there is this richness in planting seeds. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now here in the soil. I'm planting seeds. And who's to say that those seeds will sprout up this year? I mean, I and I know this is a little off subject, but it's not really. But I went outside. I had this raised bed garden last year, and in this raised bed garden, all I put were tomatoes and basil. And so, because I compost all through the winter, I'm out there and I'm throwing eggshells and coffee grinds and tomatoes and all this stuff back into the same raised bed garden that I had last year. So when I go outside today to start, I was going to really like turn over the soil and start with new tomato plants. And believe it or not, I went and bought tomato plants. Duh. I go out there and I see all like 50 little tomato plants coming up. And these are tomato plants that were left over. I mean, these were the tomatoes that either rotted on the vine or I just threw them back in there, whatever. But I've got all these little tomato plants that have already started coming up, and it's so exciting because it's like these seeds. It's just like everything else that we do. We plant seeds, and we don't always know when the harvest is going to come or that it's going to come up, but it does. And so there is this thing that we do, I'm about planting seeds all the time, and then just, trusting that the universe knows what to do with them, exactly what to do with them, and that it'll happen. And so sure enough, I went and bought more tomato plants, and I've already got tomato plants growing. So, and I have no clue what kind they are either. So this will be fun and funny, and we'll see. I don't know if there'll be cherry tomatoes or beefsteak tomatoes or Roma tomatoes or early girls or whatever. Who knows what they'll be, but they'll be tomatoes. And so I'm excited about that. So I've got these teenagers that come to class, and for me, it's all about planting these seeds. And maybe, years down the line, it'll grow, they'll come up, or show something. Maybe it'll happen next week. I don't know, but I know that they're there, and it's wonderful. So yesterday, as I was going through, and we went through class I thought was just really juicy and good and great. And so after we were just about done with the class, the one young lady, she says, she's a teenager, I don't know how old she is, 14 or 15. She says, boy, she says, I'm so scared that if God comes back, he's not going to be happy. And it was so funny when she said that. I thought, oh, how wonderfully juicy that is. And for me, I was like, I kind of chuckled and I thought, like, wow. I said to her, I remember so clearly when I had thoughts that were just identical to those thoughts. I mean, this idea that I could possibly be afraid of and fearful of God and God's judgment. And so for me, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at her. And when she said this, I thought, like we're in the last 5 minutes. And here I am, and we've got a whole nother topic of discussion to talk about because, I'll tell you, we don't learn our fearful ideas about God overnight. And we won't lose or relinquish those fearful thoughts overnight either. But hopefully, if we keep talking and showing and demonstrating, one of the things that the Course says is about demonstrating not only that that you can't be attacked. I mean, there is this thing of laying yourself open and showing the truth of the situation. No, I am not fearful. No, I cannot be attacked. No, I am not in doubt about all this stuff. And so let me show you through my actions how foreign that total idea is to me and to all these people that are gathered here. And so, the other thing that's also interesting is that so many people are caught up in that fearful way of thinking that they can't see themselves clear to an idea of a loving God that wants them to be happy. They can't believe, they have a hard time with the notion that God wills for us to be happy, and that when you are in your bliss, then you are doing the will of God. And so it becomes such a foreign thought that people totally reject it. I mean, totally reject the whole idea. As a matter of fact, they think, oh my God, am I sitting in this class with this woman and she's talking like this? And they get scared just because they're there. I mean, it's so funny to me. And so it's like I'm sitting there and I'm saying, if it were true, I mean, after all these years that I've been talking about this stuff, if it were true that God was, just mean and vindictive and gonna smite me down, if it was true, would I still be sitting here today? I mean, is it what? You know? So it's just so funny to me. So when she said that, it just became this whole nother juicy experience of talking about spirituality and God and the Course, and how we've been misguided over the years into believing something very different. And so if we could, and here's the other thing, I was telling her, big news. I was like, what do you mean when God comes again? I was like, God has never left. I mean, God is the very stuff and the essence out of which everything, you and I and everything else is made of. And so where is there else to be? Where else is there to go? I mean, there absolutely is nothing else. And so the whole concept for some people is just like, oh my goodness, let me get a little, put a little distance between themselves and me, because it's just so foreign. So I think that part of it is like we go around, for so many of us, we talk about ideas that seem to many to be very complex and very compounded. But the simplest notion is, to deal with the simplest notion, the down, just, if you just get down to, just the basic ideas that you are loved, that you are totally accepted, that God wants you to be happy, that you are guiltless, innocent, and all, and if we just deal with those base ideas, I think that for a lot of people, they would hear things that they have never heard before. And then those things, those little nuggets of information, kind of get people hungry to hear, well, why aren't I? Why aren't I a sinner? Why aren't I a filthy rag? Why aren't I, condemned? Why aren't I going to hell? Why aren't I this, or that, And so people start to ask the questions because it goes against everything that they've been taught throughout the years. And it's not just that it's the Course in Miracles. It seems like it's the Course in Common Sense. The Course in Common Sense says that if something is God, if it is God, I mean, God, I mean, you know how huge that is. Your mind can't even conceive of the first cause, that which caused everything, that which comes or is everything, not even from something, but that which is all. If it is conceivable that you could possibly do something that it does not like or does not approve of, or that it can create you and you not be on purpose and you not be love and you not be totally approved, and I mean, if God, then you must be great. If you are one with that, if that presence and you are one, like Jesus said, I and my Father are one. If that oneness, if the Bible says to you that ye are gods, but yet you shall die as men because you don't know any better. If that, how is it possible? How is it possible in somebody's mind? I mean, if we're going through that and we're just looking at it from a common sense terms, how is it possible? How is it possible that you not be in your divine right place? How is it possible that you not be loved? How is it possible that you can go against the will of God? I mean, how is all of that possible? And so, yeah, it's built into the system that you are who you are. And the course you're on, that yellow brick road that you're walking right now, is right where you're supposed to be to get where you're going. And guess what? This whole thing is really not anything. I mean, this is an exercise in, and finding out your place and finding out who you are, remembering. So one of the things that I shared last night when I talked to this little girl about this, I shared with her this story of Isis and Osiris, and sort of in the same terms that Marianne Williamson used to do. That idea that Seth came along and cut up Osiris, and then the way that Isis got him back together, all the pieces of his body back together, was by remembering him. And so I said to her that part of our job here, part of what we're doing on this particular level is remembering God. I mean, not as if God can be separate and apart or cut and severed up into little pieces and cast throughout the world, cast throughout the universe and stuff just, trying to hide pieces of God. So if you could get that picture, that this idea that we are separate from God, our act of remembering brings this thing, this consciousness, this oneness back together to this whole. And so it's so wonderful when you figure out, when people start to look at it from a common sense perspective, ah, that all is well, all is okay, all is as it should be. We're right where we ought to be to get where we need to go. So we have the solution. We're going to follow the yellow brick road to the land of heaven. I mean, to the land of God. But really, if we're already in that land, where are we going? It seems as though we are going through this exercise so we can figure out the truth of what we already did. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what Dorothy did. Remember, Dorothy followed the yellow brick road. She went through all these trials and tribulations, all the things that she went through, all the people that she met, all the challenges that she faced, for somebody to tell her, all you've got to do is click your heel 3 times and say there's no place like home. The deception is that we haven't always been at home. That's part of the game. When you figure it out, it's as if like, oh, game over. Yeah, and then you find out the truth that you have never gone anywhere, that you have always been right where you are supposed to be. Isn't that just awesome? I mean, gosh. And I don't see how we don't get excited about that. I don't understand how people don't find that, just thrilling and exciting, and then just want to talk about it from a common sense perspective. I mean, we sit here, because I love puzzles. I love figuring out pieces of the puzzle and understanding. So when I say that, what is it? What do I need to do to remove my blocks remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence? When I'm asking you that question, when I'm saying to you, what is it that you need to do in order to remove those blocks? I love little puzzles like that. I love little puzzles that challenge me to say, well, why don't I see love? And one, because I've been taught something different. Do I want to say that it was my parents that taught me that? I mean, or is it life that teaches me that? I'll tell you. Right now, where we are, um, this world teaches us that to love is to be weak. I mean, even as we talked in class, people wanted to say, well, how do we see our brother as innocent when we see him doing things that we know are wrong? I've got my eye on him and I know that. And I'm saying, and I'm looking at it like, but those are the judgments that we have. And as we see him, we shall see ourselves. So it's not, and trust me, because I'm one, I told him, I said, you know what? I don't sit there and try to tell you I don't see what I see. I'm not that one. He's doing what it was just so you can judge him. Yeah, there you go. So I'm not sitting there and I'm not saying to somebody that I'm not going to see what I see. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say that I'm blind to what I'm seeing. That's not at all what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that, you know what, even in the midst of that, I choose to not see what people do in an instant is not the truth about them in the long term. So just because somebody does something, if I trip and fall, doesn't mean that I'm a failure for the rest of my life. It's not, people act like it's something is a sentence. And as if we can't, it says to us in the course, does it not choose again? I mean, can't we choose again all over again? I mean, how many times do we get to choose? Every second we get to choose. We get to choose to see things different. So Doug says here, he's doing wrong just so you can judge him wrong. And so if that's the case, then we fall into what? The trap that has been set. I choose not to see my brother as wrong. I choose not to see my brother as guilty. I choose not to see him as that. Because the moment I see him as that, then I see me as that. Because I and him are connected, we're one. But the moment I can say, hey, I can choose again. I know my brother can choose again. I know you can choose again. Anybody can choose again. At every second, brand new, brand new. You know, it's like here we um here we've got this place. I don't know if you guys have this thing where they say every 19 minutes the place goes crazy because it's a racetrack. It's a horse racing track, and so every 19 minutes they start a new horse race, and they say, "Oh, the place goes crazy." So every 19 minutes the place goes crazy. Well, every 1 second, ching, it's new. It's brand new, and you get to be new. I mean, brand new. Choose again. Choose again. Choose again. Choose again, my brother. Choose again. Choose again. And you know what? And then choose again. And choose again. If okay, Melinda, I love the way Melinda sounds in my mouth. Isn't that what I said the other day? So it's Melinda. If they are condemned, then you can feel like you're good. Yes, hey Melinda. If they are condemned, then you can feel like you're good. And you know what? But see, that's just it. That's just it. There's no they. It's not us and them. It is I. No matter what you look like, no matter who you look like, I'm only meeting me. I'm only meeting myself all the time, no matter what it looks like. The appearance of things says that I am meeting me everywhere I go. And you know what? And I can either choose to offer me love and salvation and peace and understanding, and the next moment, a no choice, I can offer me any of that stuff, or I can offer me hell. And what is hell but this idea of my separation, my continued separation? But remember what I just said. We are here to remember. Remember the truth about who we are. Remember. Remember. And so it just, it becomes this thing over and over again. I want to remember. I want to remember. I want to remember my truth, my true self. I want to remember your true self. I want to look past the momentary things that you think you've done. I want to look past those little moments and see to the eternal truth of what you are. And that's a place that feels really good. I mean, it feels so good. I mean, if you say, "Oh, you want to drink my Kool-Aid?" Oh, see, so you know what, and I have a whole nother conversation on this. So you guys, if you are on the radio or watching on Ustream, you know that I'm also looking at a chat room board in ACMI Gather Radio, which is part of Pal Talk. But if you go to ACMI Gather Radio, acimgatherradio.org. There's instructions there, so if you wanted to see the chat room or the chat board, it's there too. And so Melinda, she just sent me this note, and she says, "Sandra, I want to drink your Kool-Aid." And it's so funny because I have a friend of mine's who made me Kool-Aid. He actually bought Kool-Aid the other day and made me Kool-Aid. And I kept thinking to myself, like, wow, this is so sweet. Yeah, it was so funny because I'm thinking to myself, people bring bottles of wine, they bring vodka, they don't bring you Kool-Aid. I mean, I'm a look, I want to say I'm a grown ass woman. They don't bring you Kool-Aid, but he brought me Kool-Aid. And so we had some sweet Kool-Aid. And And it was funny because we polished off the whole picture of Kool-Aid. But you know, it becomes this thing of how do we, you know, how do we like in every moment know the truth? You know, how do we in every moment choose truth? And I'll tell you, because today I got, you know, like the other day when I came home and I saw the lady standing in my flower bed. Today somebody else, you know, started, you know, doing stuff that had me upset, you know. Some stuff with my dad. It was, you know, I'm constantly on these folks over here at this, you know, the skilled nursing facility, and I don't see Paul in the room, but I did, you know, go through and checked on the information and the medication that he told me about the herbs, and I've got a person coming tomorrow to give him a tune-up. I don't know if I shared that with you guys about, I've got a friend who does tuning forks, and um, and she does a yeah, and she does a singing bowl and all that stuff, and so she's coming into the facility tomorrow to give my dad a tune-up, and literally it's a tune-up, and so you know, these folks sometimes they really like push my buttons, like, you know, and I'm telling you, I am not, while I'm sitting there and I'm feeling as if I am his advocate and I'm speaking on his behalf, I'm his, you know, protector and all that other stuff because he's not able to talk, he's not able to do anything for himself. And while I'm doing all those things, I'm sitting there and I am not trying to tell you that I am like always the most, you know, congenial person through all this. So but what I am saying is that, you know, just because we have an instance of where I need to, you know, to get on you about what's going on, it doesn't therefore turn you into a bad person or a negligent person or a person who's not doing their job. It's like the next instant, I'm expecting you to do better. And so I'm choosing to see you differently. So the guy, one of the guys, he told me, he was like, you know, Sandra, if you're looking over everybody's shoulder all the time and nitpicking and trying to tell us how to do our job, he was like, people are not going to want to work with your dad. And you know, I was like, oh, really? You know, really? And so, of course, you know, that kind of like, uh, you know, that kind of got me you know, I don't even know how to tell you how it got me. Uh, I was just kind of thing. And so, but the next day when he came in, yeah, that face, Melinda. So the next day when he came in, I was willing to say, you know, okay, new day, new way, you know. I didn't need to drag yesterday into today. And so a lot of times I think what people do is they want to make somebody guilty and then it becomes a life sentence. But you guys, if it says that your brother is innocent, right? I'm not trying to say that you need to ignore what you see in the moment. Not ignore it. Deal with it in the moment, but don't drag it into the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's what a lot of us do. We walk around in hell. The course tells us really we're making two choices all the time. We're making a choice between heaven or hell, ego or the God, between, you know, and really there's no gray areas in between that. We're making a choice for one or the other. I choose to be in heaven. I choose to be in heaven. I don't choose to be, you know, what, like just not acting like I don't see what I see, because we all have to deal with life. I mean, that's like if you were going down the street like Mr. Magoo acting like you don't see anything. You have to see what is before you and do what is before you to do. But the moment that you pass that, the moment that you get to the next space, whatever has happened in the previous space is done and gone. It is no more. Every moment is a brand new moment. Remember those old what do you call those things? Remember how they used to do motion pictures, and they had motion pictures where all of these little, these little frames of time. It was just like one frame, another frame, another frame. And then the rapid succession of it gave something movement. It became the motion picture. It wasn't just like fluid movement. Everyone is just a frame, 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 frame built on each other. And so for some reason, people want to just, like skip over stuff by thinking that all of it, making it all like exactly the same. If you're going to make it exactly the same, clean all the error out of it, clean all the judgment out of it, and let it be pristine and perfect. But don't take your negativity into the next moment. Leave it where it is. Because you know what? I look down at my book and I'm still looking at nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And what's real? You're real, right? Not this fleshly body that you have, but this awareness of who you are, that is real. That oneness that you have with God, that oneness that you have with me, that resonance in you that says, I feel that. I feel my brother. I love my brother. That part of you, that's all real. It's all real. And so all of this judgmental stuff that you had, nah. You know what? Let that go, let it go, let it go. It's kind of like when I go in there after I come from out of the garden, I go into the bathroom and I wash my hands and the dirt washes away. And guess what? Those are the hands I had. I mean, we get to everything else is washable. Why isn't the moment washable? Why isn't your attitude washable? I mean, why can't you rinse away the dirt and the debris off of it and see it just, like my hands? My hands are clean. Remember when we used to do that? Your mom would say, "Show me your hands that you've actually washed your hands." I mean, they come clean. But yet and still, we come clean, our bodies come clean, all this other stuff comes clean, but yet and still your attitude doesn't. Now, where does that come from? Does it simply come from the desire? And so remember, I was trying to tell you guys earlier that somewhere along the line, we learned that it's not okay to love, that it's not okay for us to show our vulnerability. We've got so many blocks built up against loving that we can't even see how to get from behind the walls and the blocks that we've put up ourselves. And so these blocks and these walls that we've put up, we have erected around ourselves. And so it's like, how do we recognize the presence of love, which is our natural inheritance, when we can't see beyond what we've made ourselves? So if we want to be clean, if we want to come to this moment brand new, we've got to start taking the idea, taking this concept that every moment, choose again, choose again, choose again. At every moment, you can choose anew, choose again. So, so I looked down at my book, and actually there is a bookmark in here from yesterday. So I'll read what I see here from yesterday, but only because I opened to it, and that's what I try to do. I try to read exactly what I open to, and so here it is. Of yourself you can do nothing, because of yourself you are nothing. I am nothing without the Father, and you are nothing without me, because by denying the Father, you deny yourself. So, it's so interesting. I Let me see, where was that thought? I thought about, for a second there, I thought about something that I shared the other day, and I think I already shared that, so I'm going to skip over that thought. I did share the other day about Pan and that book that I read, Jitterbug Perfume. That keeps coming up for me, and I think that I need to go back and reread that book. The end of guilt will never come as long as you believe there is a reason for it. You read Jitterbug Perfume? Oh, that, Lynn, I'm so like, wow, I love that book too. Yes, that is the one. I love Tom Robbins too. I was talking the other day about what a wordsmith he is. He has such a way with words, and I simply loved reading that book. And yeah, he is fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And so, did you hear me talk about that the other day? I'm sorry, y'all, but I done got caught up in that. Okay, that one line in that book, Jitterbug Perfume. Okay, so there was that one line in Jitterbug Perfume where they were talking about Pan. And it said, "Don't wax yourself important. You would not have a God, if there was not a need for God." But they were talking about Pan losing power. And so it was just this wonderful, like like detour off into, into thought that I went into. You would not have gods if there were not a need for gods. And so, because they were talking about Pan losing his strength. And so they were like, don't wax yourself important. And I thought, oh my goodness, did he say that right here in the midst of the book? It's almost like one of those moments where you want to close the book up and look at it again and think like, yeah. I mean, yeah, say that, Tom. you know? And so a lot of times I think that what we do is that, we so yeah, that's a whole nother like tangent that I get off on. He is so brilliant. I mean, just absolutely brilliant. And you have to tell me some other books. Okay, Skinny Legs and all. Okay, you read Skinny. I didn't get through that whole book. Or is it even Cowgirls Get the Blues? So I had went out after I read Jitterbug Perfume and bought a bunch of books by Tom Robbins, because I just absolutely love Jitterbug Perfume so much that I wanted to read everything that he wrote. And so I don't know how much of the other ones I got through, but that one really resonated with me on so many levels. And so I talk about it from time to time, and I just, maybe I need to crack that book again, because I have read it several times. It was so good. So, you guys, if you're ever looking for a summertime read, if you go on vacation and you're laying out by the pool somewhere, take Jitterbug Perfume with you. And I guarantee you, you will just be totally caught up and engrossed and just totally like taken by that whole treaty that they go in. I don't know that I read that. I don't remember reading another roadside attraction, even Cowgirls Get the Blues, Still Life After. Okay, so I did. So thank you, Jeff. You're so, look how efficient that is. Half Asleep in Frog Pajamas, no. Fierce Invalids Home from Hot Climates, no. Villa Incognito, no. Wild Ducks Flying Backwards, no. Collection of essays. I mean, I'll have to get but I haven't read all of those. Thanks to Wikipedia. Okay. I haven't read all of those. I have here at the house Jitterbug Perfume. I have even Cowgirls Gets the Blues. I think that I looked at the Still Life with Woodpecker. I'm not sure, but yeah. Oh, Half Sleep in Frog Pajamas. I'll have to get that one. Um, so yeah, he is absolutely a wonderful author. So you guys, if you get a chance to read him, and I'm trying to think of one other one that I read by him, and I wanted it was about another guy who was trying to escape growing old by doing some weird stuff, and some of that stuff has a lot to do with over time. I mean, just this, there's certain themes that I've noticed in his book. And it's interesting because sometimes you see authors that deal with certain life issues, whether it's growing old or or how they see themselves as they're getting older, and over time, all of that stuff. You know, you see that it comes out in their writing, and I love it. 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 So anyway, I will have to check that out because it is summertime and it is time for me to sit on my porch and be lazy and read something besides the course and who is this other guy that I like to read? Joseph Campbell. Yeah, I need to read some other stuff. So maybe some epic journey would be great. Anyway, you know, it's funny because, you know, the end of guilt, it says, will never come as long as you believe that there is a reason for it. Oh my God, Joseph Campbell. I love Joseph Campbell. Melinda, you haven't heard me talk about Joseph Campbell. Okay, so anyway, I could go on and on and on. He is just like my hero. He is my hero. And okay, and if you have not, if you have, there's a movie about his life that they made called Finding Joe. It's called Finding Joe, and it was made by the Foundation for Joseph Campbell and all his stuff. And it is just a wonderful movie. I tell you, I used to get Hero of a Thousand Places, yes, and Thou Art That is just absolutely wonderful. And all of those books, anything by Joseph Campbell is absolutely wonderful. And some of it is a little heady. Just depending upon how deeply you want to get into it, um, but I as I go through and I read some of Joseph Campbell's stuff, it resonates with me. It takes me beyond just, because a lot of times in the Bible, we read these myths, these stories, and we get glean little information from here and there. But I tell you, the information that we receive even today, even in the age of the internet, is so narrow. It's so extremely narrow that we just don't recognize how narrow it really is. And so it becomes this thing of when you start to read different cultural myths, it opens up the field of experience, this awareness for us as we start to delve into other things. So even when I started to read about um, um, what is oh shucks, I can't even think of her name now. But I mean, there's a whole reign of the goddess kind of movement that went on, where we celebrated female power. There's so much information out there. What's the woman's name? I can't even think of it right now. So yeah, there is so much information out there once we start to delve into it. What is that woman's name? I want to talk about her for a second, and I can't even think of what her name is. Um, Jeez, I am drawing a total blank. Anyway, but I'm just saying that there is so much information out there once we open ourselves up to seeing the more information, how much more it could possibly be. Um, and I'm still like, her name is like on the tip of my tongue. And I don't want to say that she was back in, was there somebody else besides Adam and Eve in the garden that people talked about? Um, Shucks. I can't even think of it. It's like I'm totally drawing a blank about it, and I keep wanting to let it go because there must be a reason. Lilith, okay, yeah, there must be a reason why I can't call the name. Yeah, not quite Mary Magdalene, but there must be a reason why I'm drawing a blank on some of this stuff, and so maybe I just need to like move on and let it go. But I mean, there is so much information out there. I read the Chalice and the Blade back a while ago, and and I love like all these different authors that try to delve back through myth, and from the, from all the myth, see how all of this stuff weaves together. So not only just the stuff that Joseph Campbell talks about, but also when we start talking about um here I go again. I'm grappling. I'm grappling. Carolyn Miss and Carl Jung and all the characters, the myths, mm, all the information that they draw upon. I don't understand why I'm so tongue-tied. I guess because I'm not supposed to talk about this today. So let me let it go and just kind of move on. So, okay, so here we go. Lit is because we need to think together. It works. Yes. Okay. Yes. And so all of this stuff is out there, and so many people kind of like try to remind us that it goes beyond anything that we've experienced on a certain level. And so if we're just kind of like reading this mainstream stuff, we only get what, I guess to some extent what the mainstreamers wanted us to have. At one point in my life, I was just busy out there reading the Gnostic text from, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Apocrypha. Um, Behind me, I've got the keys of Enoch, and I, the some people talk about the Kabbalah all the time. There are just so many different things that you can read and get into. And even as you read them and get into them, not to say that you necessarily need to change how you relate, or that it takes anything away from what you've already learned, but sometimes it just adds on a different level of perspective. I remember after I read the Course in Miracles, like the first two times, I went then and I picked up this book called Jesus the Christ. It was written by Levi. It was, is it called Jesus the Christ? Um, and for me, when I read that book, it sort of expanded my awareness so much on the Bible, on is that what the book is called? By Levi. I don't know what is wrong with my head today. I am just like tongue-tied and can't get out anything. The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ. That's what the book is called. Is there any sound? I hope so. I hope so, Grace. Can you not hear me? Oh, okay. So good. So, the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ just added so much richness to everything that I had read. It caused me to go back and reread a lot of the things that I had read. And so many things are like that when we start to delve into and read from different perspectives, whether it's reading something from Tom Robbins, or Joseph Campbell, or anybody. It sort of adds another layer to the foundation of knowledge that's possible in our own thinking, in our heads. I mean, even Shakespeare. I mean, it's so funny because when you read them, it's like you're sitting there and you're thinking, like, wow, the way he put it. So the other day in class, when I had a class. This man, he's a grown man, 80 some years old. He kept saying, what was the little nursery rhyme? It takes one to know one. That's what he kept saying. It takes one to know one. It takes one to know one. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, okay, fine. And so he kept trying to put it in spiritual terms for me. And I kept saying to him, well, as a child, you know, as a child, it was not necessarily a very spiritual thing to say. I mean, you know, when we were saying it takes one to know one, it's because you had called me a name or something. And we were saying, well, it takes one to know one, that kind of thing. And then he says, well, he was like, when you change your perspective, if you look at it from a spiritual standpoint of view, it takes one to know one. And so if you're innocent, then it takes one to know one. And he kept saying it takes one to know one. And I thought, like, okay, that's an interesting perspective. That's an interesting way to put it. And it's okay, okay, okay. I mean, whatever. Yay, yippee, yay. Okay, and hoo hoo. So, so you guys, I'm actually just like sitting here, like, yay, having fun with you guys, and I don't know if I've said anything. I just assumed that I did because I came here and I showed up and I did, you know, I ran my mouth like I'm supposed to do. And when I do that, it's like, you know, what spirit tells me is open your mouth and you talk and let me be responsible for not only what you say, but how others hear it. And so if I open my mouth and I talk, even if I'm saying something wrong, by the time it reaches your ears and your understanding, you will have corrected it, thought about it, turned it over, and put it in a way that fits just perfectly for you. So it all works because it's only one of us really here. And I'm really just talking to myself. And so while you're there talking to me, listening to me talk to myself and cheering me on. I'm so elated that you are and that you are on this particular journey with me. So, you guys, it's almost time for me to go. But here, I wanted to go back to this. And I so truly appreciate you looking up Jeff and telling me all those books because I will check one of those out of the library so I can have my summer reading, get my summer reading on. And I may do that exactly what you said, Lynn. So here is what Lynn said earlier, and I saw it and I didn't get a chance to read it. This is what happens if you buy compost from a wastewater treatment facility. The seeds come through the digestive system into the poop and the treatment process. Tomatoes and cucumbers grow naturally. Ah, so you know, I didn't see that. I didn't read that before, but thank you. Um, I didn't know that wastewater treatment facilities sold compost, but ho ho, I didn't know that. So that's great to know. So yeah, seeds. I got all these tomatoes out here. Heavens knows I don't need any more seeds. So these she said they're called volunteers. So, okay, you guys, it's time for me to go. Yes, sandrasaidit.com is my website, and Sandra D. Bishop on Facebook, and Sand Bishop on Twitter. You guys, I love you. I will see you next Monday right here, same time. Oh, wait a minute. Are we here next Monday? Are we here? Are we here? I don't know if I'll be here, but it's a holiday, so I'll be in touch. You guys, love you. See ya.
Good evening, everyone. Huh. Yes, Sandra was just talking. I came on 10 minutes earlier today. Sandra was talking about so much information out there. Yes, we're on information overload. But the key is to take in only what nourishes your soul. Let the rest go. Because the thoughts that, and we will continue on thoughts today. We've been on thoughts yesterday and last week also. The thoughts that you are entertaining, the thoughts that are occupying your mind all day, force that is shaping your destiny, for good or for bad. Just prior to getting on the call, I was on the phone with someone, and they said, I have to go, I have to run. And I said, why do you have to run? Why not walk?